Remember back, Matt Gaetz at the July 26 hearings brought this case up, and some interesting details have emerged, including does a video actually exist? And AARO's response that it's a commercial lighting balloon, or 4 of them in a perfect formation, doesn't make sense, especially when you're considering 80-knot winds. Thanks for being here. Let's get to the show. Chris Lehto, welcome to LehtoFiles. This is a recent tweet from Lue Elizondo. Exactly right, Ross. No video exists and nothing to see here, folks. Well, okay, actually, there is a video, but we can't release it because it's too sensitive of an event that wasn't sensitive. What type of logic is that? If we look at Ross Coulthart's tweet, this DoD AARO Freedom of Information Act response acknowledges a video does exist from the January 2023 Eglin Air Force Base UAP sighting, but refuses to release it. But someone's not being truthful because DoD AARO officially claimed in its report that there was no video because the jet recorder was not working. And if this object was just a balloon, why is it a national security secret? So this is the actual FOIA request. The responsive video you're requesting is not releasable to you in accordance with 5 U.S.C. exemption. Protects from disclosure information about matters specifically authorized under criteria established by an executive order to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. According to an article by Marik von Rennenkampff, the Pentagon is lying about UFOs. Congress held a historic hearing on UFOs July 26, 2023. If you remember, he had 2 former Navy fighter pilots, Ryan Graves and David Fravor, also with David Grush, relaying their events with direct visual confirmation of UAPs and amazing capabilities from these objects in an amazing exchange with Representative Matt Gaetz. I've covered a couple times on this channel. Gaetz described how he received a protected disclosure from pilot at Eglin Air Force Base, a major there, regarding a January 2023 UFO incident over the Gulf of Mexico. He was stonewalled by the Air Force and asked a House Oversight Subcommittee to subpoena radar data and images from the UFO encounter. In the hearing, Gaetz said from the images he saw of the object, he was not able to attach to any human capability, either from the United States or any of our adversaries, and he had worked on the Armed Services Committee for 7 years. So he had some experience with this topic. His office received a protective disclosure of a UAP encounter off the coast of Florida from Eglin Air Force Base. He traveled to Northwest Florida with Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett and Florida Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, where they asked to meet with the pilots and see any images and radar data from the incident. He says, "We are not afforded access to all of the flight crew, and initially, we were not afforded access to images and to radar. Thereafter, we had a bit of a discussion about how authorities flow in the United States of America, and we did see the image, and we did meet with one member of the flight crew who took the image." Gaetz said the pilot told him they were doing a test flight over the Gulf of Mexico on a clear day when 4 objects were identified on radar flying in a diamond formation. Gaetz said he's personally seen the radar data from the incident. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb, he said. And again, not have any human capability that I'm aware of. And when the pilot approached, he said his radar went down. He said that his FLIR infrared camera system malfunctioned and he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses. Gaetz also said that the pilot told him explicitly that reporting UAP incidents is discouraged. He said, "It was stated explicitly to me by these test pilots that if you have a UAP experience, the best thing you can do for your career is forget it and not tell anyone. Because any type of reporting, either above the surface or below the surface, does have a perceived consequence for these people. And that is a culture we must change if we want to get to the truth." So from AARO's released report, this is pilot's drawing of the reported object. You can see gunmetal gray here, gray on the bottom, and then it said as an orange, reddish, looked like some sort of engine attached to the side. It said blurry air was underneath, so blurry air, but no smoke. This is, I'm guessing, the 2 images. One image off the FLIR, off the electro-optical IR system, is here. And then this coming straight off looks like the targeting pod image to me. AARO's response is that it is one of these, a commercial commercial lighting balloon. 4 of them in some perfect diamond formation released. According to Marik von Rennenkampff, in his article titled "The Pentagon is Lying About UFOs," this so-called explanation of a large commercial lighting balloon insults the intelligence of any reader who takes a few moments to review the details of the incident. It did not convince the world's most prominent UFO skeptic. The pilot's sketch of the object, described as akin to an Apollo spacecraft, bears no plausible resemblance to the design of any known industrial lighting balloon. That would be from Mick West. This Eglin UFO looks like a white sphere wearing a hat. The image on the left is the IR thermal image, adjusting the levels only. It shows a quite irregular hat, which is not really consistent with the lighting balloon hypothesis. Marik von Rennenkampff called the Florida-based company that produces the high-end commercial lighting balloons alluded to by the UFO office, AARO. According to the firm, it is unheard of that such industrial-grade tethered balloons would spontaneously float away. Unheard of. In a brief video, Emmy-winning lighting designer Matt Ford, who has used the lighting balloons in question, detailed the sheer absurdity of the Pentagon's explanation. It gets more interesting because Marik von Rennenkampff reports that there were 80 knots of wind at altitude that day. So 80 knots of wind, how are these objects able to hold stationary? As Ryan Graves reported off the East Coast, these objects are able to hold stationary in hurricane-class winds. That's just impossible. Gaetz has stated that the Pentagon's assessment is incomplete and does not reflect all of the data I was shown. He also called for the public release of the images and radar data associated with the encounter. And this was from Mick West. With the new Eglin UFO, the fact that it had no airspeed recorded means that it's impossible to rule out that it was just a balloon or 4 balloons. It might also be an alien spaceship, but I'd put balloon at number 1 with the current data. So this is from the AARO report. UAP-1 operated at an altitude of about 16,000 feet above ground level. The second and third UAPs were noted at altitudes of 17 to 18,000 feet. The fourth was lost from radar. No altitude was noted. Moreover, no airspeeds were noted for any of the UAP in this report. So these are experienced pilots, actually, and seeing 4 of these commercial lighting balloons supposedly in a diamond formation in 80 knots of winds just seems impossible to me, especially if they're holding stationary. If we look here, what is the blurry air underneath with no smoke? What is that from? According to AARO, it's Earthshine is what they call it. Just seems ridiculous to me. As reported by Marik von Rennenkampff, just seems impossible that 4 of these would be released and then somehow stay within the same formation. And it doesn't make sense based on what we're actually looking at in the IR sensors. And another final question is there a video? Ross Coulthard pointed to that FOIA request. Is there an additional video? So quite interesting details released from Eglin Air Force Base. 80 knots of wind that day. How can you have these stationary objects that don't have any realistic, mundane examples? Matt Gaetz was stonewalled when it happened, and it sounds like he's not giving up. According to Senator Gillibrand, there is talk of public hearings this summer. Hopefully we'll actually get some public hearings and get more of this data released. Lue Elizondo also said he traveled to DC this past weekend to meet with interested parties. So hopefully it's spinning up and we can get more data released, more information, and hopefully some public hearings this summer, because we continue to get information like this released from AARO that doesn't seem to make sense. They appear to only be on the side of mundane explanations and not even considering listening to the pilots and listening to their actual accounts. And can we get a video released? Is there a video actually out there of the Eglin intercept? Would that tell us more information? I think so. So thanks for watching. Please hit the like button if you did like this video. Subscribe for future updates on this case and others. Look back through my videos. I have many interviews of the past, very interesting interviews. And if you'd like to support the channel further, go to patreon.com/chrislehto to get ad-free early access, or you can become a YouTube member here and get early access to my videos before they publish. Thanks for being here. If you want to continue the conversation, go to UAP Society Discord. All those links are in the description. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.